From our studio in Georgetown, this is the TV Delmarva Channel 14 News at 4.
Good day, Delmarva. Reporter Rob Petrie here for TV Delmarva Channel 14 News. Straight ahead, an arrest has been made in connection with a shooting outside Irish Mike's in Dover. A Millsborough man was arrested on drug and weapons charges, and 2 men were arrested after police say they stole boating equipment in Sussex County. These stories and more coming up, but weather first with Hunter Alton.
Hello there. May the 4th be with you today on this Wednesday. We started off today with plenty of dreary conditions. We had some foggy conditions and it was relatively cool starting off here on Delmarva, but a little bit of a different story as we go into this afternoon. Taking a live look outside of TV Delmarva Studios here in Georgetown. We've been seeing a mixture of some clouds and sunshine, but that temperature has allowed to warm up back into the 70s right now. Currently 74 degrees here in Georgetown. Take a look at some satellite and radar. We are starting to see a couple of thunderstorms beginning to develop, especially across eastern portions of Virginia to southeast of Richmond, which it is sparking a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings this afternoon. And more areas of some developing showers and maybe a few rumbles of thunder in areas in northern Maryland towards Frederick and Carroll counties. Now, we do have the chance of seeing an isolated thunderstorm for the rest of this afternoon here on Delmarva, but the better chances are definitely going to be on the southern tier portions of the shore in Accomack and Northampton counties. It's going to be relatively short-lived, and we do get a break from the precipitation during the late overnight hours tonight into Thursday, but a whole big different story once we get into this weekend. Let's have a look at those conditions elsewhere on Delmarva this afternoon. We're starting to see a little bit of a temperature spread across the region, basically taking Delmarva and slicing in half. Currently 75 right now in Salisbury, 73 in Pocomoke City, 65 along the coast in Ocean City. Nice toasty 78 degrees in Exmoor, but a little bit further towards the north where we're seeing a little bit more cloud cover. 66 right now in Easton, 65 in Centerville, 67 in Dover, and much cooler in the northern portions of Delmarva and Wilmington and Newark at 61 and 62 degrees. We're starting to see an increase in those dew points, especially for areas of central and southern Delmarva, now getting into the mid 60s. We're starting to get a little bit of a ripe air mass once that sunshine has returned this afternoon. So these areas have the best shot of seeing an isolated thunderstorm this afternoon just because of the higher moisture content in the atmosphere. Winds, though, it's been fairly light for the most part and variable, sustained only between about 4 and 8 miles per hour this afternoon, but we have been seeing some wind gusts creeping to about 10 miles per hour, currently gusting to 11 in Georgetown, 11 as well in Ocean City, only 9 in Salisbury, 10 for Easton, and only gusting to 7 in Dover. Now, we do have those chances of those isolated thunderstorms this afternoon. A dry day going into Thursday with a little bit cooler conditions, but the big story is going to be that nor'easter that we're expecting during the holiday weekend. I'll have all those details regarding that nor'easter here in just a little while.
Dover police have arrested a 25-year-old in connection with the April 16th shooting that occurred in front of Irish Mike's Bar in Dover. Police say John Henry was identified as a suspect during the investigation, and a warrant has since been obtained for his arrest. Officers from the Dover Police Department and United States Marshals 1st State Fugitive Task Force located Henry and took him into custody in his front yard in the 1400 block of South Farmview Drive around 4:52 p.m. Tuesday. Officers then executed a search warrant on the home and located a 9mm handgun, 56.3 grams of cocaine, and 969 grams of marijuana. Henry was arraigned on a slew of felony charges and committed to the Sussex Correctional Institution on $116,000 cash bond. Well, a Millsborough man has been arrested on drug and weapons charges. According to Delaware State Police, the incident occurred around 9:50 a.m. Saturday as troopers responded to the 28,000th block of Mountjoy Road in Millsborough to assist probation and parole officers with an administrative probation search of 41-year-old Christopher Smith's property. During the search, police say probation officers located a Remington shotgun, a Harrington and Richardson arms rifle, over 10 grams of crack cocaine, 1.68 grams of cocaine, numerous rounds of ammunition, drug paraphernalia, and more than $3,600 in suspected drug proceeds. Police say Smith is a convicted felon prohibited from possessing firearms or ammunition. 4 juveniles were discovered to be living at the property. Smith was arraigned and committed to the Sussex Correctional Institution on $159,000 cash bond. Well, 2 men were arrested after police say they stole boating equipment in Sussex County. 30-year-old Christian O'Leary of Lewis and 34-year-old Jacob Steele of Dover were both arrested following an investigation into numerous thefts that occurred in Sussex County. Throughout March and April 2022, Delaware State Police say they fielded numerous reports of thefts from watercraft equipment and accessories that were occurring in boat yards in Lewis, Millsborough, and Milford. Detectives from the Troop 4 Property Crimes Unit were able to develop O'Leary and Steele as 2 suspects associated with these thefts. Around 10:30 Saturday evening, police say O'Leary and Steele were both located driving southbound on Coastal Highway at Miller Road in Rehoboth Beach. Troopers initiated a traffic stop and O'Leary and Steele were both taken into custody without incident. Both O'Leary and Steele were arraigned on a slew of charges and then committed to the Sussex Correctional Institution on secured bonds. Well, the Delaware Department of Labor is teaming up with statewide partners to present a series of one-stop resource expos in May to highlight the Delaware Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. Dozens of partner organizations will be on hand at booths to speak with people about employment, education, and other support programs. Participating agencies will have an expo table to share key flyers, materials, and information. Those attending will be able to find information about areas of interest, including job seeker services, employer services, skills training, reentry and justice-involved services, certification and apprenticeship services, small business development assistance, and youth and adult programs. The purpose of the expos is to provide critical information to Delawareans about how to best access the workforce development programming across the state. The events, which are tied to several employment programs offered by the Department of Labor's Division of Employment and Training, will span 3 different days at 3 separate locations across the state of Delaware. Now, the events and locations are as follows. Kent County will take place Monday, May 9th at the Modern Maturity Center in Dover. In Sussex County, that event will take place Thursday, May 12th at the Cheer Center in Georgetown. And for Newcastle County, that will take place Tuesday, May 24th at Delaware Park in Wilmington. Now, representatives from dozens of career service organizations like Delaware Public Libraries, Department of Health and Social Services, Goodwill, Delaware and Delaware County, Tech Impact, Delaware Tech, and Delaware State University all will be on hand for the events. Coming up, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees have been announced. More details on the way. Keep it here. Well, the nominees for the 2022 class of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame have been announced. Dolly Parton will be inducted into the Hall of Fame as a performer, along with artists such as Pat Benatar, Lionel Richie, and Eminem. This year's nominees include Pat Benatar, Duran Duran, Eminem, Eurythmics, Dolly Parton, Lionel Richie, and Carly Simon. After initially bowing out of consideration, Dolly Parton said just last week that she would accept the honor if nominated. 2022 marks the 37th annual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. Well, it's looking like we're in store for scattered showers and mild conditions tonight as we get a preview of your pinpoint weather forecast with Hunter Alton.
Showers and a few isolated thunderstorms are possible for the rest of this afternoon into the early evening hours. We get a break from the wet weather for your Thursday with slightly cooler conditions. But the big story is a late season nor'easter that will be battling the coastlines during the holiday weekend. Now don't go anywhere, because when we come back, I have the details regarding that weekend nor'easter here on TV Delmarva Channel 14 News. All right, everybody, let's get right into the pinpoint forecast for the overnight hours into the day. On Thursday, we're still going to be looking at the chance of some scattered showers earlier on, maybe even a few rumbles of thunder, especially for the southern portions of the shore. But the good news is that rain will be clearing out just after midnight and eventually becoming partly cloudy. Tonight's temperatures, though, nice and comfortable, 52 to 56 degrees with light winds from the north between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Take a look at Futurecast, rest of the overnight hours into the day on Thursday. This is 6 o'clock this evening. We can start to see areas of some scattered showers and maybe even a few thunderstorms out there. Now, I think the central portions of Delmarva is going to escape probably most of the storms because we've been seeing a lot of cloud cover today, and that has hindered a little bit in the way of that instability. I think the greatest chance is going to be for the southern portions of Delmarva, especially in the Virginia counties. Once we get into this evening, 10 o'clock, we got still some leftover areas of some scattered showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder out there with temperatures in the 60s. But by the time we get to 2 o'clock in the morning, we're starting to see some clearing skies. Temperatures still nice and comfortable for the most part, upper 50s to low 60s. And even waking up tomorrow morning, temperatures are not really going to change all that much when we're waking up, but we're going to be definitely looking at much more in the way of cloud cover, partly to mostly cloudy skies by the morning hours. And then going into the afternoon hours, with that extra cloud cover, we're going to be keeping temperatures a little bit cooler into the 60s for the most part, still fairly comfortable. And then by the evening hours, we're still going to be looking at temperatures upper 50s to about 60 degrees, with partly to mostly cloudy skies continuing into the overnight hours. Thursday forecast overall, partly, mostly cloudy skies, temperatures right where they should be for this time of year, 68 to 64 degrees, with a little bit of a breeze from the north-northeast at about 10 miles per hour. Now, take a look at the allergy index for your Thursday. Now that we don't have any rain in the forecast going into Thursday, we're expecting those levels to return on the high side once again, 9.6 out of 12 on our scale, still dealing with the peak of tree pollen season with their allergens of oak, birch, and maple trees. Now we're going to switch gears to take a look at the marine conditions for your Thursday, beginning with the Atlantic. Mostly cloudy skies, 60 degrees, winds from the northeast at 5 to 15 miles per hour with seas of 1 to 3 feet. Take a look at the Delaware Bay, mostly cloudy skies, 60 degrees, winds from the northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour with seas of 1 to 2 foot expected. And then the Chesapeake Bay, mostly cloudy skies, a little bit warmer at 65 degrees. Winds from the north at 10 to 15 miles per hour with seas right around 1 to 2 feet on the Chesapeake. Now, as we get into the overnight hours tomorrow night, enjoy the dry weather while it lasts because it's a much different story once we get into this weekend. But tomorrow night, mostly cloudy skies, another night of comfortable temperatures, 52 to 55 degrees with some light winds from the southeast at about 5 miles per hour. Now, there has been talk about this late season nor'easter that is making its way into areas of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and even beyond that to this point. So we're going to look at the forecasted NAM model showing this is Friday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We're starting to see rain overspread the area, all thanks to a warm front, but our storm system is still way over towards Illinois. So we're going to have a storm system here, a strong blocking high to the north. So this storm system can't escape towards the north and east. So the only way it's going to go is down. We have one low in Ohio and one developing right over Virginia Beach going into Saturday morning. We get a little bit of a break at the precipitation, but a different story once we get into Saturday afternoon. This low begins to take over and we're starting to see some fairly strong onshore winds. The rain is back and it's going to be making for a messy situation going into this holiday weekend. That's because we're going to be seeing some strong onshore winds. Forecasted wind gusts right now during Saturday afternoon is getting to about 35 to even near 45 miles per hour. And it's going to be there for days and days because this storm system is not really going to go anywhere. And that's going to be causing problems for our coastal locations. So definitely once we get into Saturday, Sunday, and even beyond that, we're going to be looking at some coastal flooding and some beach erosion problems persist even into early next week. Reason being is I want to show you this. This is from the European model. This is the wave height forecast going into this weekend. And if you look, there is some very large waves offshore. And on that scale of 16 to 20 foot seas well out by the Gulf Stream, and that's because of that strong onshore wind. So just think of what's to come in our neck of the woods. So definitely have to be using some extra caution going into this weekend, especially if you live in those coastal flood prone areas here on Delmarva. Now let's take a look at that extended outlook because, like I mentioned, enjoy the dry weather while it lasts going into Thursday, because Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is not going to be a pretty day. We're going to have soaking rainfall, gusty winds, coastal flooding concerns, and not to mention it's going to be on a little bit on the chilly side too, upper 50s to low 60s. But the good news is once we get into Monday and Tuesday, although we still will be dealing with some leftover coastal flooding, it's going to be drier conditions overall. And then we're looking at a warm-up trend towards the mid and late portions of next week, where we're back into the 70s, and maybe, just maybe, by the end of next week we could be looking temperatures back into the 80s.
Coming up, a draft opinion of the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling to potentially overturn Roe v. Wade has been leaked. More details straight ahead. Don't go away. Well, a draft opinion of the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling to potentially overturn Roe v. Wade has been leaked. The opinion, which shows the court's conservative majority agreeing to overturn Roe v. Wade, was leaked on Monday by an unknown source from likely within the court. The leaked document was published by Politico and presents an unprecedented breach in confidentiality to the nation's highest court. Chief Justice John Roberts spoke out Tuesday morning, calling the leak, quote, an egregious breach of trust. An investigation has since been ordered to find out how the document was leaked to begin with and who is responsible.
Weather Classroom is sponsored by No Nonsense Office Machines, committed to providing quality products and services with over 15 years of experience here in Sussex County. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today's weather lesson, we will be talking about the differences between flood advisories, watches, and warnings. We have 4 different categories for this, so let's begin with flood advisories, which means be aware. A flood advisory is issued when a specific weather event that is forecast to occur may become a nuisance. A flood advisory is issued when flooding is not expected to be bad enough to issue a warning. However, it may cause a significant inconvenience. And if caution is not exercised, it could lead to situations that may threaten life and/or property. Now we have flood watches, which means be prepared. A flood watch is issued when conditions are favorable for a specific hazardous weather event to occur. A flood watch is issued when conditions are favorable for flooding, but it does not mean flooding will occur. But it's a good possibility that the forecast suggests that flooding may be an issue. Then we got flood warnings, which means take action. A flood warning is issued when the hazardous weather event is imminent or already happening. A flood warning is issued when flooding is imminent or is occurring at this time. And then finally we have flash flood warnings, which also means take action. A flash flood warning is issued when a flash flood is imminent or occurring, and if you are in a flood-prone area, move immediately to high ground. A flash flood is a sudden, violent flood that can take from minutes to hours to develop, and it's even possible to experience a flash flood in areas not receiving rainfall at all, but just happen to be downstream from a river or a creek.
Well, that about does it for us today, Delmarva. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at TV Delmarva and on our website, tvdelmarva.com, for real-time news and weather updates. And while you're there, be sure to sign our petition calling on the major cable providers to carry TV Delmarva on their platforms so we can provide this kind of hard-hitting local programming to all of Delmarva. Until next time, I'm Rob Petrie reporting for TV Delmarva, Channel 14 News.